Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you. Today we have the Kizer Fire Ant. This is one I was pretty excited to get my hands on. I will admit, I saw it on Kizer's Instagram, and I immediately reached out to him and said, "Hey, I want to get one of those." So this is provided by the manufacturer, and I was very appreciative for them to send it to me. But as you know, Nick Shabazz always says, this may be the best quality control one in existence because they knew it was going to a reviewer. All that said, this is a Dirk Pinkerton design. I like Wharncliffe's. I like Kizer's. I really sensed that I was going to like it. It's not a flipper. It's thumb studs. I have nothing against flippers. I just have a whole lot of flippers. I have to review a whole lot of flippers. I like it when it's something different that excites me. So I was very eager to get it. I will say, I'm very bad at looking at stats. They had stats when they posted the photos, but I didn't look at them. I didn't realize how small it was. But it's not a very large knife at all. Overall length is 6.5 inches. It's a pretty small knife. I'm fine with that though now after I've had it because they did some really cool ergonomic stuff on this that we're going to get into, where this thing is really well designed for a very small knife, and pretty excited about that. I was upset that it wasn't as big as I thought it was, and then after a while I appreciate how small it is. That's what she said, hopefully. I'm sorry. I had to do it. I apologize. I apologize, YouTube. Don't demonetize me. S35 VN, full titanium scales, full titanium milled clip, all that good stuff. It is not on bearings, though, which I was kind of surprised. Most Kizer stuff in their higher end, titanium stuff is always on bearings. This is on like a combination of phosphor, bronze, and Teflon washers. I tore it apart, and it was, yeah, I was surprised. I expected it to be on bearings, but it is not. Because when I flipped it, I'm like, God, that doesn't feel like bearings. Well, it's because it isn't. But yeah, like I said, this pretty aggressive looking Wharncliffe blade, but not very long, 2.625 inch blade. As I said, running on thumb studs and S35 VN. Not a whole lot of billboarding, just the Kizer logo, their usual S35 VN and the model number. And then you get the Dirk Pinkerton little maker's mark and Fire Ant. I'm completely fine with that. I think that's an appropriate amount of billboarding. I don't mind that at all. It does come in two different color schemes. This is the plain Jane version. And then also they do one in they call it like a golden gray, but it's like a machine surface here, and then all the other surfaces are kind of a bronze, and it's got these bronzy gold thumb studs. I kind of wished I'd have gotten that, but I think my reputation precedes me that I like plain things, so Kizer sent me the plain one. But actually that golden gray one actually looks pretty damn cool. But anyway, this is the one I got, and it's fine. I'm happy with it. But I just think it's a really cool looking design. I do really like it. I think the pocket clip looks great. I think the blade looks great. All the jimping is functional and also makes it look a little cooler. So that's always good when you get the double whammy there with that. You can see there's no milling inside, but as you'll see when we get to the weight, don't need it. But you can see I do like that the lock bar relief is internal. That's always nice to see. Just a really well executed design overall, I do have to say. I think it's really cool looking, and Fire Ant is a very appropriate name because it looks like a nasty little guy. And I don't know if you guys have ever been bit by a fire ant, but it sucks. It's not fun at all. I got bit by like 100 of them one time, and that was not fun. I almost went to the hospital. That was very, very bad. So yeah, stay away from fire ants except for this one. Let's do some specs and some size comparisons before we get too much farther. You have an overall length of 6.5 inches. Blade length, as I said, 2.625 inches if you want to be precise. Blade thickness of 0.12 inches. Handle thickness, pretty thin, 0.42. And a weight of just 2.48 ounces, which not bad at all. I have to say, pretty light for a full titanium knife, even of this size. That's still pretty light, well under that ounce per inch ratio that we all like to see. As far as size comparisons go, we're going to use some of our standards here, but it's going to be a lot smaller than almost all of them. So I'll bust out one more here just to make it a bit more comparable. You have your Spyderco Para 3, and we'll do the Rat Model 2. You can see it's still quite a bit smaller than either of those. So since I have it out here from a video I did the other day, this is, I don't know if a lot of you guys have this, but we'll bring it out just to see. This may not be a super useful comparison, but your Civivi McKenna It's much more similar in size to the McKenna. Even the McKenna is a little bit longer. So yeah, not a very large knife at all. But it's a good carryable size. And as I said, we're going to get to that. They did, yeah, I keep teasing it, but the ergonomics in this thing are pretty trick. So, all right, the blade on this, one of my favorite things about it. My second favorite thing about it. Very thin behind the edge. 15.5, 16 thousandths behind the edge, the whole length of the blade. I measured it. And I measured it in like 4 or 5 spots. Very, very thin behind the edge. Super sharp out of the box. Let me grab, what paper do I have here? This is that. I've been using this a lot for cutting stuff. I like it because it's a little thinner than your usual printer paper, so I think maybe it's a bit better of a comparison, but this is the backing for printing labels. No, that time it tore. I've been using the hell out of this thing today, but there we go. That was just me. Yeah, as you can see. Super sharp out of the box and cuts through cardboard and stuff like a laser beam, because they like I said, it's only 0.12 inches behind the edge, so of course it's going to cut well. And when it comes super sharp like that, it's a great slicer. And what I like about it even more is just that Wharncliffe blade shape is so useful for kind of daily EDC-ish sort of tasks, opening boxes, opening packages, you know, cutting open meat packages, things like that. It's cutting open plastic, you know, clamshell containers. It's a great blade shape for that kind of stuff. And one of the things I like particularly about this blade is the grind on it. It doesn't have that super dainty, thin tip that a lot of Wharncliffes have. A lot of Wharncliffes, you're worried that if you like breathe on it wrong, it's going to snap the tip off. Not so on this. It's, even though it's a very thin blade stock, just the way they ground it, you still have a pretty decent tip on there. No, I wouldn't go use it as a pry bar, but you should never do that. But yeah, pretty impressed with that. I really like the blade on this. The thumb studs don't ever seem to get in the way when you're cutting a lot of stuff. I know they're kind of in the cutting path, but I never noticed it being an issue at all. But I think it would be an issue when you go to sharpen it. That's one thing. And they're not removable as far as I can see. So have a thought about that. This is probably going to be one that's better to be, if you're sharpening on an angled system, that might be a problem. I could be wrong. I didn't put it on my Viper Sharp to check it out, but that might be a problem. But not a huge deal at all. As far as the ergonomics go, like I said, this is the part I wanted to get to. I took this thing out of the box, I put it in my hand, and it is awesome. I'm gonna hope I can explain this properly. Is it the most comfortable knife I've ever put in my hand as far as just comfort? No, but as far as usefulness, man, they knew what they were doing with this. And it is still very comfortable. This nicely contoured pocket clip doesn't bother me at all. You don't even feel it. You don't know it's there. I can get all 4 fingers on here, no problem. Again, I got pretty skinny fingers, but they still all fit on there. Even my long fingers, I don't feel like it's undersized. I feel like it's fine. But all this jimping actually does something. I can actually feel it gripping my hand. And they carried the jimping all like far enough up the blade that it just feels almost like a utility knife. It really does feel like a very fancy, very well done utility knife, a very fancy, more robust utility knife. And I think that's great for kind of EDC purposes. I really do. This thing is ergonomically designed perfectly for exactly what it's intended to do. And I do truly appreciate that. I really do. I have 0 complaints about the ergos. As far as the carry goes, we'll start out with the good. Once it's in your pocket, it's fine. You hardly even notice it's there. There's no flipper tab, all that stuff. It's very small. It's very lightweight. It's very thin. Great as far as that goes. Pocket clip. I immediately had to bend it out a little bit. It was so tight, I couldn't even get it in and out of my pants. So just, that is not a hard thing to do. It would definitely not put me in a do not buy this knife thing. I do it cheap and easy way. I just wrangle it into my pocket the wrong way and pull it and bend it a little bit and put it back in. I'm sure there's more scientific ways to do that, and I'm sure probably Kizer is cringing at me telling people that's how I do it, but that's what I did, just to back the tension off a little bit. Because the ramp was okay. It's not great, as you can see, but it was okay. It was fine enough for the kind of jeans that I wear, but it was just, the tension was just too tight. So I backed it off a bit. And now it carries fantastically. It's not deep carry. You're going to have a little bit sticking out, but not that much. And yeah, when it's closed, by the way, when you pull it out and you carry it, it is kind of an odd looking profile when it's closed. I should have talked about this more in the looks, but I don't know. I don't hate it. It looks like a boat. This is going to be in a blooper reel someday of me sailing my little Kizer Fire Ant across the screen. But no, it carries great once you get that pocket clip tension dialed in. And you know, that's something that is so variable. It could just be this one. I don't know. If any of you other guys have a Fire Ant, comment down below. Tell me if yours was super tight out of the box. Action, pretty good. It's on washers, so it's not like mind-blowingly amazing, but it snaps out pretty good. Drop shut, no. You have to give it a really good whack. You can drop it shut, but you got to give it a good whack. But the detent was pretty good, and not mind-blowingly great. It wasn't as good as like an Ontario Rat. I just had one of those out there, you know. I've seen washer knives that are better as my thumb slips off the thumb stud, but it's not bad at all. Locks up really well. No complaints there. And no complaints quality-wise either. The centering's good. Comes with all that cool, you know, Kizer stuff, the little sarcophagus with the little package, and you've got, or the little pouch, and you've got the cleaning cloth, all that kind of stuff in there. I call it sarcophagus because that's just what it looks like to me. A little magnet closed box. Nice little touches that Kizer does. But overall, yeah, I really like this. The only flaws I have with it are that pocket clip tension was too tight, and the action's not mind-blowing. But I really do like that blade, and I really appreciate what they did with this ergonomically. Again, I'm not going to say it's the most comfortable knife I've ever had in my hand, but it's good, and it just works. It just freaking works. And can't knock him for that. So, and you kind of expect that from Dirk Pinkerton. He is kind of a guy who designs more workaday sort of knives. So that really shouldn't be that big of a surprise. But in the usual Kizer quality, I don't have any problem with anything. So hope you guys have enjoyed this. Check it out. If you want to go get one, you can go to White Mountain Knives. They have them in stock. Just looked, they got both. SDWMK at checkout, you get 10% off. So go check that out. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've been Brian. Have a good one.